All right, well, let's take this conversation forward. EFF Gauteng spokesperson Dumisani Baleni is joining us in studio tonight. Mr. Baleni, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. You've decided to intervene here as the EFF, and you have now opened a criminal case against Operation Dudula. Give us the essence of that case. What are the charges? What is it exactly that you are alleging before courts?
Well, so the first greetings, Butloli, and to the viewers. So the crux of the case is that on the 31st of August, there was a lady whose child was sick, needed medical care, was stopped from entering clinics in Alexander, 2 clinics turned away by people who identify as Dudula. In another clinic, there's a healthcare member who says they were told by members of Dudula not to allow them to access, healthcare. Yeah. And eventually the child died, and that is when we said as the EFF, but this is not what we think should be happening in society. Our clinics, our schools, now that they're saying they're going to school, cannot be border posts where people are stopped and asked to produce whatever documentation. We agree to people being documented. We agree to that, but there is a point and there's an element that this has to be controlled. You can't have civilians who go to clinics and schools demanding kids, demanding sick people to step aside, to be turned away from accessing, primary health care, which this kind of stance, according to us, has far-reaching, consequences in that you are going to turn away people from attending to clinics. And then, because you turn them away, the sicknesses, become worse. And then we come and complain, we say we have problems of beds in hospitals, which are issues we could have attended to in clinics. So our case is that Operation Dudula and the leader of Operation Dudula must answer for barring the mother and barring even South Africans as well across Gauteng, even in Soweto, must answer for that. And we consider this first against the law, constitutional against the Section 27. 2, this is very cruel and inhumane.
Are you finding that indeed cases of South Africans also being turned away simply because a person is not carrying their identity document? Because Operation Dudula has said that no, there is no such incident of South Africans also falling victim to this simply because they didn't carry an ID.
They are there. In Soweto, they are there. There's many of them. There's a few who also contacted me yesterday and said who were turned away by members of Dudula from clinics. They are there. South Africans are there who were turned away. And also the issue of South Africans, you must understand, we grow up in our communities. We know of people who grow up were born in the same space, grow up together, who don't have documentation. And those people get to be victims, whereas they are South Africans. This cannot be the logic that runs our public institutions, particularly clinics and schools.
Authorities, do you think that they have a handle on this? Because on the very same story we are talking about today, where such an operation was conducted at a high school, the school governing body, one of the people was interviewed by this channel, and they saying, look, their hands are tied in terms of trying to appease Operation Dudula by blocking children of people who may be, or of children rather, who may belong to undocumented foreign nationals in South Africa, because the regulations are clear. Any child of school-going age must be at school. Do you think the authorities have a handle on this? The Minister of Health, Minister of Education, do they have a handle on this?
No, absolutely no, even the government of South Africa. But also I think there is a temptation from people in authority to succumb to this because it looks like it's a thing that is appealing currently. Some also are tempted because they want to score some political votes. That is why even currently, I mean, why does this thing arise now of Dudula, whereas this situation has been the same? The situation in South Africa has been ongoing for a very long time, but it always arises towards elections, and that is where the problem is that now you have ministers, you have all other political organizations who have expressed their disapproval of this kind of an operation, of an illegal vigilante operation. But they're scared of acting. Why? Because they are thinking of votes. And that is what separates us from the rest of everyone, is that we are not going to allow or say, let as many kids die for us to get a vote. The authorities are scared of these people because these people come into schools, they impose themselves, they look violent, they are disruptive in nature, and therefore they are scared of doing that. But also politically, there is a motivation or some form of a retreat from people who are supposed to be in power, who are supposed to say, let us enforce the law, because they fear that they might lose a vote, or South Africans will, certain group or sections of South Africans will react this way. I mean, there are court declarations on this. There's a constitution on this. And the police are not acting on this as well. And when we go to the police station, the police say, we're not aware. I mean, everyone is aware of what happened in Alexander. Yeah. But there is a temptation also on some of people in the authorities to allow the situation. And now we must be ruled by some form of past laws in our society. We can't allow that.
Yeah, that's a very serious accusation, because what you are suggesting is that people with power to act on this are turning a convenient blind eye.
Yes.
And you're saying that this is all for a vote scoring exercise. Why is it that you, as the EFF, do not fear losing votes as a result of your stance?
It is because when we are elected, we must be elected on our principles. And we must be elected on principles that we truly believe in. There were people who were running around in rivers towards elections, skipping rivers, going up and down and shouting, Mabahambe, Mabahambe. And they were elected. And they knew very well that this is not as easy as they say it. They knew that there is a law. They knew that there's process and there's ways to handle things in government. They were shouting and they were elected in government. Here are we today. Those people are still in government. They're not doing anything about it because they entered into government on a ticket of lies, on a ticket of convenience, on a ticket that they are scared that South Africans are going to punish them. And this thing now, everyone is just riding on this wind, and no one is willing to tell the truth. And the EFF, at least, is one organization that is known to stick by what it stands for. And our policies are very clear.
Personal insults? Your leader has had some people really say very bad things about him on social media because of the stance of the EFF. Is that something that you're willing to just, overlook?
I don't think that phases the Commander-in-Chief or any of the members of the EFF. The Commander-in-Chief is a very seasoned political leader of the EFF. He knows how to separate from... There are genuine frustrations as well. So we must not treat the situation as if, no, everyone is just unreasonable. That genuine frustrations, and all those frustrations, if we can trace them and track them down, would realize that there's an issue of public health care, the issues of school. Around 18 schools currently, school projects in Gauteng, are outstanding and they can't be finished, and they have not been finished for a very long time. There are issues like that need to be sorted out. And there's issues of the work of capacitating clinics, that work of making sure that we have enough clinics, we have capacitated workers so that they are not strained, which is something that must be dealt with. And I think the EFF takes frustrations of our people in that kind of an approach, that there are genuine frustrations around this, but there's people who are just opportunistic about it, which we must address.
Dumisani Baleni, thank you very much for your time. The EFF spokesperson in the Gauteng province. Thank you very much, and we will be tracking the case that you have opened. We'll follow that with keen interest as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Butlole. Thank you for having me.